He's here.
There it is.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just want to let everybody know that we're just a tad bit late. We did have an executive session. No actions were taken. It was to just discuss personnel matters. Out of all the evenings too, I don't know how long my voice is going to last, but we're going to plow through this. Public comments. Any taxpayer that would like to wish to address the board about title programming or any other matter of concern or interest properly raised in a public session, you can, if you would, give your name, your address, and the subject of the content you wish or that you will be addressing. It's requested that comments be kept to 3 minutes. Moreover, please note that the comments relative to private students or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of this meeting. So at this time, any public comments that any of our residents would bring forth? Good evening.
Good evening. First, I'd like to apologize for wearing a hat, but that's what happens when you have hat hair after a long day, because I know it's really not proper to be wearing a hat indoors. Reference to outsourcing the custodians and the cafeteria workers. I've done a lot of homework on this. Rough numbers are 5 custodians make about $19.22 an hour at 37.5 hours. 3 custodians at $15.50 an hour, 37.5 hours a week. 2 custodians at $16.50 an hour times 37.5 weeks. That totals estimated payroll at about $375,000. Estimate of benefits approximately $93,000. Total cost for Sarah School District for the total usage of custodians approximately $470,000. That's based on 52 weeks of work. Our fine cafeteria staff, and I have a copy of this for all of you if you're interested. 6 workers at $19.22 an hour times 6 hours a day times 180 days, and they don't all work 6 hours, $124,000. 2 workers at $17.71 an hour, 6 hours, 180 days, $38,000. 2 workers at $15.50 an hour times 6 hours times 180 days, $33,500. Estimated cost for cafeteria services for payroll, $196,000. I believe 3 workers receive benefits, and I just averaged it out, approximately $49,000 for a total cost of $245,000. Combined total of those things are about 1.1, and that's not even real accurate. If we have an outside company come in and use the same 10 cafeteria workers needed to do the job with an average salary of $17.50 an hour, 180 days, 6 hours, and so on, that's $189,000 with no benefits. That outside company would save about $55,000. Same rationale with our 11 custodial workers who do a great job. Their hourly rate, if you average it out, is $17.47 times 11 workers times 37.5 hours for a week times 52 weeks, $375,000. A difference in our budget of about $94,000. For a total savings for this school district, $150,000. So think about that, folks. We bring an outside source in, and they're going to do the same quality work as our cafeteria staff and our custodians. Not happening. If they mark it up 20%, that's $30,000, about $120,000 difference in the bid. And I believe that's extremely high. We are not saving any money, but we're losing control of the people and the employees who are going to be working in our buildings. Not to mention the difficulties that some of you who are in the business industry can't get workers. And if we do get workers at the rate that they would have to pay, not going to do a good job. We're filling positions with people who are going to make $12 an hour. Currently, we have approximately 900 students in our district. Our high school has 450. with a principal, assistant principal, SRO, hall monitor, and a second/monitor, disciplinarian, whatever. We have all those people. Our principal's making $106,000 with 1 year of experience. To our south, the Athens High School principal makes $109,000 with 21 years of experience. They have 770 students, one principal, one assistant principal, one school resource officer, and no hall monitors. You take the hall monitors, we're getting $25 an hour, 7.5 hours a day, give or take, 2 people, 180 days, $67,500 before benefits. And we're gonna cut the lowest people in our employee chain, our custodians who sweat, our cafeteria workers, and yet we have 2 hall monitors for 450 students. We've lost 22% of our student body in the last 4 years. Is our superintendent or anyone else taking the 22% cut in pay? No, but let's get rid of the custodians and the cafeteria workers. Further, if it's true, do we really have teachers? And I love our teachers. Do we really have a couple of teachers who are only teaching 4 periods a day out of 9 periods? Do we also have a couple of teachers who are teaching 2 students in a class? None of my comments are meant to offend anyone, but I've been in this district a long time. And when we start cutting the core people of our organization, we have a problem. I sent a right to know request about the feasibility study. I was told it's ongoing. Really? Interesting. No one told us to quit, so that's a great response from our business manager. Additionally, we paid $65,000 for a consolidation merger feasibility study with Athens District. A feasibility study that not one person on this board is going to vote for, regardless of the outcome of the information. Our superintendent is nationally certified now. We need a nationally certified superintendent for the little school with a big heart, or is it the little school with no heart? Nationally certified superintendent when we know this board voted on a budget to include her conferences. Yet we're going to be doing a feasibility study. That tells me you don't have an intent to do a merger or consolidation. And I'm not saying I'm for that. I'm saying it's poor management. $20,000 to get a nationally certified superintendent, and if we take those 2 and combine them, where's our superintendent going? Where our superintendent's going is off the national certification on our piggyback, on our money.
Mike, I was going to say, can you submit your report? Because I know you're over by almost getting up.
Okay, I'll sit down.
Okay. Well, Mike, if you submit your report, could we get that report?
Oh, I'm good for now.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else that would like to address the board at this time? That's right.
Matt Middlebrook for 3 South Wilbur, talking about the outsourcing. Think back to the board meeting on February 5th. It was at this meeting that the motion to take bids on outsourcing was presented. There was a long pause, about 10 seconds. A second to that motion was reluctantly given when Mr. Cole reminded the board members that the purpose was only to solicit proposals. Why was there that long pause? Perhaps there have been previous discussion among board members. Perhaps there have been discussions with faculty or community members indicating this was a bad direction to be taking. Perhaps it was the voice inside your head telling you that it was wrong. Perhaps it was a gut feeling. At this point, the members of this board fall into 3 categories relative to how you will vote on the outsourcing. Those who are steadfast with their intent to vote no, those of you who are committed to vote yes, and those who are undecided. To those of you who are committed to vote no, thank you. Thank you for being good stewards for the district. Thank you for your courage to do the right thing for the dedicated employees of this district. Thank you for trying to keep these essential employees essential. Thank you for truly giving meaning to the district motto, the little school with a big heart. Thank you for doing what's right for kids. To those of you committed to vote yes, this is a short-sighted and shameful decision with immediate and long-term ramifications. While I can appreciate difficult decisions during tough budget times, and while some money would certainly be initially saved, this decision will cost the district more over time. In the short term, you will likely lose both cafeteria staffs. It will be taxing to hire, retrain, rehire, constant retraining, which will result in continuously longer lunches, which will impact instructional time on a regular basis. The exodus we've been seeing over the past several years to Waverly, Athens, homeschooling, other districts will also continue and likely increase. Of course, lower student population numbers translate into lost revenue from the state. The eroding trust between the district and the community will continue, and that might be one of the largest costs of all. The term, you get what you pay for, comes to mind. And finally, to those of you who are undecided, listen to that pause. Listen to the people speaking out at this forum, writing letters, petitions, social media posts. Listen to your inner voice. Listen to your gut. Do the right thing and keep these essential employees essential. Vote no on the sellouts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? If not, we'll continue.
I do. I noticed in your policy that you guys only speak for roughly 3 minutes. Is that right?
Yes.
Is there anything in the policy that says I can't go back up again? I've never seen that in the policy, so just thought I would, A, throw that out in case you're trying to control that in the future. Okay? Because nowhere in the policy does it say that someone can't come up a second or third time.
We have a problem.
I'm talking about total mismanagement of money. We had 9 girls or 8 girls in basketball this year, and we paid 2 coaches. Last year, my son was one of the coaches. We paid 2 coaches for 8 or 9 girls last year. Not a lot of money. These are just little things that I follow up on, and I tried to get on this board, but I was told I wasn't getting on this board before it even happened. Because I bring things up, I'm not a yes person, and I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to protect the taxpayers of Sarah Area School District when things are not being done right. I met with the superintendent. I'm not trying to throw her under the bus. I've met with her twice. I've sent emails, I've sent text messages, because I want to do what is right for the students and the taxpayers. This gentleman is much more polished than I am, because as you can tell, I'm compassionate. I shouldn't say compassionate, I'm passionate for our students and what goes on here. Look at the numbers, and I could go on and on about numbers of what is going on in this school district. There's people who ran for re-election, there's people who got voted in, now we have to do the job, okay? And I will give this to Mr. Cole and other people. If we're going to save money, there's a lot of places to start. And it's not with the custodial staff, and it's not with the cafeteria workers, it's just the tip of the iceberg. And I believe everything happens for a reason. And this is about the opportunity for the school board to say enough is enough. Okay, I asked about the feasibility study, it was supposed to be done in November. The least the school board or the superintendent could do is update the public as to where it's at. Maybe not the facts, but everybody's asking, where's the feasibility study? Are we going to get any reimbursement out of our $65,000 because it's 6 months late? You guys are starting your budget process. I talked to the business manager about that. How are you going to go forward with your finance budget committee if you don't have any numbers on what you're going to do with the Athens-Sierra merger consolidation feasibility study? Doesn't seem like the management's very good. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Yes, sir.
Mike, only because I at least have this information. Feasibility study, contractor is way behind. They have not been paid. So that's not a small point. I shouldn't say they have not been paid. I think they've been paid $14,000 to kick off the study. Because they haven't delivered, they haven't received any additional funding. We anticipate delivery, hopefully, in the next 30 days. I don't know, I just threw that out because I don't have it. We're not happy with them at this point. So that's where the feasibility study is. We don't have a lot of information.
I respect that, Mr. Shortline, and I know you're a very good business person, but think about it, $65,000, they have, like any contract, there's a time frame. When you say you're gonna do something by November, no matter what they come back with the information, we're not gonna pay $65,000, at least I'm not paying $65,000 for a product that wasn't produced on time. And I respect the update, but the public is, of course, people come to me because they know I speak my mind. Okay, and a lot of people are questioning that, and thank you for the update. I think that'll make some people happy.
And again, thank you, Mr. Sturton, for that information as well. I know that your committee has been working very hard at that study in itself. Like I said, and even on my behalf, I'm very upset with the way that the company has handled this matter as well. Other than that, we'll go down to the consent agenda. Item number 2, the minutes, the motion to approve the minutes as presented on March the 18th. Also, under instruction, we do have some conference requests to okay, as well as field trip requests, district volunteers as presented. In the finance, the Northern Tier Career Center 24-25 budget. And also the bills from April the 8th through, yes, I'm sorry. Motion to approve the bills in the month of March. And also a resolution to approve the resolution to authorize the administration to engage the Support Staff Association in the process of looking into a third-party services as presented. Under personnel, we do have a board report to okay as far as approval for the personnel. And under policy, the motion to approve the first reading of the district policy as presented, and that's everything that we have in the consent agenda. We have a motion and a second to okay the consent agenda. Motion. We have a motion, a second,
Second.
and the second. Questions and comments?
Mr. Cole, on item 3D, under field trip requests, the 4th grade is going to Tanglewood. I would like that to be district funded as it's educational versus funded from the PTG. And under number 6, policy, I would like that tabled. I would like to request a review by the policy committee.
Thank you, Tricia. So what we'll do is pull both of those items off of the consent agenda at this time. And then we'll have a discussion in regards to these 2 items.
Dr. Rosa, can you give us some more information on
The resolution, the purpose behind the resolution at this point, given
Sure. So Our solicitor had recommended the resolution to continue to engage with the support staff union. We have been in contact with the president of that to engage them in the conversation, to give them access to anybody that's turned paperwork in, to continue to do that process, to give the information, that full board, and then move forward so that you have all the information on the table and they have the right to do that as well. I'm not sure if I want to make sure that they know they also have the right to put an RFP on the table to the board, right, in addition to. So it doesn't just go to outsourced companies, it goes to anybody who wants to put a proposal together for this board to look at. So we're extending that deadline, and so if the union president or the team from there wants to put a proposal together, they're welcome to do so.
Do you know how well the union president engages its staff?
I don't know how the membership is engaged,
Yeah.
but she's very responsive to me when I reach out via text or email or go and see her to communicate. It's very easy to have conversation with
But
the
we don't
union
know how
president. I
well
don't.
they engage the membership.
No, I don't. That would not be me. I would not be attending any of those meetings. But we certainly want. So the resolution is to continue that process of engagement that we have started.
So at this one, we have no RFP from the local union.
Not at this time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the consent agenda?
Being that we table those two things, we have to have another motion.
Yes, we will,
Yes.
sir.
So make a motion to accept the consent agenda except for those two items.
That would be
Number three.
Number
3B and
6.
6.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
So that's a motion.
That's a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Kmet. Any other questions or comments?
And that is still we're on the consent. You haven't had a-
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay. Make sure my notes are correct.
So, if there's no other questions or comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved.
Okay, so the administration would recommend that we amend this agenda and in order to bring something back to the table that was pulled from consent. So I'm making a motion, or the administration is recommending a motion to the board of directors to edit this agenda.
Okay, so we have a motion to edit this agenda at this time.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mrs. Agnew.
Second.
Second.
Whoever you want there, Mrs. Pacheco. Any other questions or comments on the new, on the reform agenda here? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is approved.
So then the next step would be for a board member to make a motion about this and how you possibly want that funded. Since it was brought off the table, or off the agenda.
So the field.
I know I talked my head, so I want to make sure everybody knows. So we would need a motion for that field trip that was pulled. We need a motion from a board member to bring that back to the agenda since we voted to change that, edit it, on that and how it would be funded.
So I want it funded from the district. So I would like to make a motion to fund it from the district versus the PTG.
All right, so we will, so I'll just interpret what you're saying, that you, the board member is making a motion to pay for the 4th grade field trip to Tanglewood by the school district.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
Can I add to that?
Education.
Go ahead.
I would go so far as to say educational field trips, we should look at budgeting going forward, such that things, field trips that are specifically for educational purposes, not recreational purposes, that they're funded through this.
So I was gonna wait for the motions and do the comment part, so go ahead.
No,
That's all right.
Okay, so can we do have a motion from Tricia. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
And a second from Mrs. Kmetz. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Okay, so to Mr. Scarpano's
Okay.
comment, the Finance and Budgeting Committee that meets
Yep.
periodically and, they are looking at that for the future,
Okay,
for educational trips.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no other comments or questions? We don't have any. Could we have, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that is passed. Okay. So, go ahead, Doctor.
That's all right.
No.
So I was just going to say, with the policy, we just need a motion to table that and send it back to the policy committee on the board.
Okay, so do we have a motion to table the policy of number 6? Second, Mr. Bond and Mr. Latrini. Any questions or comments on that amendment? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we got the roll.
Thank you. I think all my notes are good.
High school principals report. Mrs. Healy.
Good evening, everyone. So I just want to clarify something. When Mr. Shaw was speaking, he referenced that we have 2 student monitors here at the high school, but that is not the case. We only have 1 student monitor, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Excuse me, but go ahead. I'll talk about it later.
And I'm only clarifying it because you said it in a public fashion, so I wanted to make sure that the public knows that that's not completely accurate.
Was there a second position for discipline there, which was talked about for?
There was a position, yeah, but it wasn't filled.
So let's be frank, the whole thing is, it's words. It's really words.
Okay, so for the high school, Mrs. Schreiber held a meeting earlier this morning with students who took the ASVABs back in February. Students were given guidance on how to interpret their scores. So I just wanted to let any parents know that their kids were coming home. If you have questions about those ASVABs that they took or the scoring, they did have that meeting today, but if you have more questions, just call the guidance office and Mrs. Schreiber will walk you through that. We have a group right now of 19 students that are attending the State Leadership Conference in Hershey for 3 days this week. We wish them our best. We can't wait to hear the results of how they do this week. Thank you to Mrs. Heft and Mrs. Ramsey for traveling with that group and overseeing the trip that they're on. Looking ahead, there will be a junior high spring dance this Saturday at 6 p.m. This is a fundraiser for the overnight senior party, and so tickets are being sold all this week for that. And prom, believe it or not, is coming up. It will be held at the Loom in Waverly on April 27th at 7 p.m. And the theme this year is Hollywood, a night on the red carpet. And that's all I've got for the high school.
Thank you, Mrs. Healy. Mrs. Morrell from the Snyder School.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you to everyone at Snyder who helped with the send-off for our students who attended Odyssey of the Mind. Thank you to Mrs. Lezak and the parents for all their work. I know they had lots of extra practices and you brought them and picked them up at school, so thank you for that. I couldn't be more proud of all of them, so congratulations to them on their efforts. Why they may not have placed there, they certainly did place in our hearts, so we're certainly proud of them. Finally, thank you before break to the PBIS team. They put on an Easter egg hunt for our students for the primary and intermediate. We had some help from 6th grade. And they also had a movie for the school with some popcorn that was made. So we enjoyed all of those activities. So thank you for their efforts with that. We appreciate those and look forward to more.
Thank you, Mrs. Morrell.
You're welcome.
As far as PSBA is concerned, if there's anyone that hasn't done their required training, there are a couple more Zoom trainings that are scheduled out there. I encourage you to take a look at those and consider participating in those, as well as they are working on different things as far as the state budget is concerned. Hopefully there will be a charter reform. Again, Here's hoping. But other than that, that's one thing that they've been working on. They've also been working on more special ed funding, as well as other funding for other special programs. And hopefully, they hope to get some of the mandates down as well. So that's about it from the PSBA standpoint this evening. Director of Academic and Student Affairs, Mr. Handrich.
Evening, everybody. It's loud. Happy to announce that we have finalized our new math text selection. Teachers from the elementary school, as well as the entire math department here at the high school, participated. It actually started last summer. Mrs. Short and I looking at middle school or middle level materials. We were really happy with Go Math, and we wanted to upgrade. Contract was up with them. So just to give you guys a little bit of an update, we used Ed Report Ratings, which is a national nonprofit that rates curriculum materials. We actually had other grade levels that participated. I'd sneak them stuff as well, even though they didn't sit on our committee. They wanted to look at what we had. And the consensus, we actually ended up going with Biomath. Our Bataan consultant was also a big help. She sat down, went through the materials with me page by page, and gave us some feedback, so that was very helpful. And I'm going to keep this, I'll have some samples in the admin conference room if anybody is dying to look at them. They can stop down and take a look. So, did you have a question, Mr. Kirkman?
No, I think people want my question.
Oh, I think she's seen it. Okay, yes.
So those materials are available for both community members and any other teacher that didn't get a chance to look at them can still do that?
Yeah, I did not get a chance to round up all of them today. I was in 5th grade for a few minutes, so that's how come I have 5th grade.
Okay.
Because we were a little busy today.
Can you share with the board and the community what resources you might have available? Like, is it going to be a teacher edition? What will you have available for them to look at?
So one of the nice things about this is this platform will have, yes, we'll have teacher editions. Everybody's gone to the workbook now that the kids write in instead of copying out of. But the other piece of it is there's also an online component called Alex, and we were purchasing a separate system for extra practice, and Alex is incorporated with this, so we won't need IXL. And then the second piece, Dr. Bozio, Dr. Tejan, we've been looking at a universal screener called MAP, and McGraw-Hill, that product comes with this as well. So there's some pieces that are incorporated that makes it kind of nice that we're not piecemealing, and just a little bit nicer that way. Yes, teacher edition, online platform, all of the more modern. This is pretty new. This has been created since 2020, so it's just been rolled out.
So they're all seamlessly integrated.
Seamless, we won't call it quite that, but yes, they're integrated. Okay, and that's one of the things when a new company rolls something like this out, there can be some glitches with the new stuff, like the map. I don't think is integrated quite as fully as I'd like to see it, but that comes with putting kids on it and working through it. So that was it for me. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Handrich. Down to committee reports, if there's any committee chair here on the board that would like to give us a quick update on any of the committee meetings that we've had here in the past month. Okay, nothing from the committees. As far as the board president report, I do want to make mention again that we will be having a public hearing on the 22nd, right here in the auditorium, pertaining to the outsourcing of the custodial and or the cafeteria workers. And of course, members of the Sarah area school district community may address the board through public comments at that time. And again, that public hearing is set for April 22nd at 6:30 in the high school auditorium. I also want to throw out here, I want to thank Maureen Wright for coming in and speaking to our creative writing class. Also for the staff and the people here at the high school for their donation to David Wong. He was given $500 so that he can go into the national competition down in New Orleans for his powerlifting. So we look forward to some good results there. And also I want to say, give a shout out to our 3 students that participated in the Greater Valley Chamber of Commerce banquet that was held about 2 weeks ago. Again, we appreciate their time and what they had brought forth to the Chamber of Commerce here in the Valley. And that's everything I have in my report. Dr. Delosio, your report.
Right. I think for the first time, I think my report will be a little longer than yours, maybe. So I do want to thank the Community Relations Committee that's run by Mrs. Kometz. Over right before the Easter holiday, they had staff had been egged, not literally, but with plastic eggs filled with candy, and so the committee members took the time to fill those eggs in the bags and make sure the principals had them for their baskets to give those out. I received emails from staff members thanking me for that, and so I want to share that with the community relations, that their time and effort that you put into that committee is valued and appreciated. I do want to send a special shout out to Miss Wenzel. I was here for that musical. Still see a few remnants behind the curtains. They're still tearing some of the props apart from that musical, and they did an outstanding job. And so to the entire cast and crew, and for Miss Wenzel, who is a first-year music teacher here at Sayre, she did an outstanding job and deserves that praise. So if you see her, please give her accolades. And the support team that worked with her to do the lights and the sound and the orchestra pit, it just was phenomenal the whole way around. I enjoyed seeing the students perform. I also, like just like our principals, FBLA to Mrs. Ramsey and Mrs. Heft. Sorry, just drew a blank right there, but I knew they left yesterday and will be gone through the beginning of this week. And they always do a great job and represent Sayre in a wonderful way. And so the board supports that, and I appreciate being able to send 19 high school students to the FBLA conference. Mrs. Lezak has not only come here and presented multiple times, but I thanked her, and I want to continue to do that. She also then took kiddos to states, and I thank both the principals for running send-offs, so that we really applaud our students that are headed off to state competitions, and they continue to do that. Regardless of our size, that small school continues to push through. And to David Wong, so not having a powerlifting team, that's something that he does, right? One of our teachers went out of their way to put together a GoFundMe, in addition to other individuals putting together a dress down day and the collection of that $500. That GoFundMe collected close to $1,500 to help him as well for his travel expenses in that. And so that's a direct reflection of the community here in Sayre. As you mentioned, prom is right around the corner. It's almost hard to believe. We're in the 4th marking period, and prom's around the corner, and I know Mr. Palumbo and Mrs. Ramsey are doing an outstanding job getting ready to make a magnificent night for our juniors and seniors and their guests. And so, and Mr. Handrick, that year-long process that included the teachers giving so much time and effort to look at the math curriculum that they will bring forward at the next meeting, so it's available for the community and the board and teachers to look at as well, but we did have a nice sized team that continued to look at a variety of resources that potentially would meet the state standards that are set by the state. And if there are resources that we need to get in addition to that, because there's a missing link or two, we're willing to do that to make sure the teachers have those resources that they need. And as you said, the Greater Valley Chamber of Commerce, Jan Lee, giving her a shout out and what she put together. That evening was wonderful. Mr. Howie attended with me for that event. And this year is the first year they had a junior Chamber of Commerce. There are 3 students from Sayre, 3 students from Athens, and 3 students from Waverly that serve the Junior Chamber of Commerce. And to have watched them present that evening and pull together, do you need some water? You good? All right, just to make sure you down to get you some water. So they not only pulled together a variety of pieces, but they actually presented that evening. They ran part of the program. It was wonderful to see. In addition to that, the 3 different schools put in, there was a competition for the, all right, So there was a competition for the artwork and the theme for that night, and the 3 Sayre students won that event. And so their artwork and that theme for that night was front and center on our program. So I wanted to share that information as well. Great, that's everything I have.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
Just want to make mention about the future meetings. Again, I'll reiterate, if we go to our next page, our public hearing on here in the auditorium at 6:30 on the outsourcing issue that I brought forth to you folks. Also, following that public session, we'll also have our Board of Directors meeting, 7 o'clock. Everything will be here in the auditorium. Finance Committee meeting will be meeting on April 15th at 5:30 down, or that'll be up in the library. Okay. Yeah. Also, the Athletics and Recreation, they'll be meeting 6:30 on the 15th of April, also up in the library. 2 things I forgot to mention too. First of all, don't forget to look at our website out there because you'll find a lot of things out there that students and staff are doing that are quite outstanding. I'll tell you what, it's amazing to see what our staff and what our students are doing out there, not only in the community, but here in the school and different other things that are going on here on our campuses here. And also, I want to give a shout out to Loprino has also donated $1,000 for scholarship money to a member of the class of 2024. But not only that, they also donated to our neighbors in Sayre as well as our neighbors in Athens as well as in Waverly. So anyway, I really appreciate what Loprino Foods has done here with that. Other than that, if there's no other questions or comments, and before we do adjourn, like I said, yes, ma'am?
I just wanted to ask you, in regard to the public forum, we have a lot of employees that are not Sayre residents. Are they allowed to speak at that public forum, being that they're not a Sayre resident?
No, this is just for members of our community. And
They're talking on April 22nd.
Oh, on April 22nd.
So if an employee wanted to speak and they're not a Sayre resident, are they allowed to say anything at the public forum?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think our current policy reads that it's a Sayre resident or taxpayer. The policy that we're bringing forward has to add employees and current students. That's been tabled for tonight. It would have sat for 30 days before it comes back to the board. So in our current policy, I don't believe we have that. I will go back and look at that and follow up with you specifically so that you know by tomorrow. I'll take a look at that.
Okay.
But that's something that we have in the new policy. Okay?
So in essence, ma'am, a public forum is no different than the policy you have for your school board meetings. That's what she's asking.
Correct.
But we're able to respond to the questions that you bring forward.
Well,
Right,
I
so-
think we ought to make an
Go
exception.
ahead. We should make an exception for this public meeting.
What's that?
We should make an exception.
That's-
We're heading in that direction.
You would have the right to do that as a board.
Make an exception for
Absolutely.
this public
Do we
meeting.
need to like vote on it, or we can
We can vote on it right now if you want.
Make a
So make a
motion,
No. You can as a board make that happen. You
make
can
a
that
motion that the
decision.
public hearing on the 22nd
Yes.
is for employees as well as.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Should we roll call this? No?
Do you want to write down exactly what we're
Okay.
voting on? What I'm bringing forward is the fact that we have employees of the school district that don't reside in Sayre.
Right.
They have the right to speak at a public forum,
Public hearing.
At this
at a
meeting.
public
This
hearing.
meeting.
Along with community residents,
Yeah. And
students,
Yes,
and
yes.
taxpayers. Okay.
Yeah.
Sayre area school district taxpayers and community members, as well as students and employees.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question quickly. That open forum, because I read somewhere that you're trying to vote, and I'm not sure because it's all under one voting system, but do you have to
policy that we tabled.
Okay, so for the open forum, you do not need to let the district know ahead of time if you want.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, but again, Mr. Romberger, you know, you know, again, state your name, address, and, you know, for the
No
record.
pre-registration.
Right, right.
Now, is the standard still 3 minutes though?
Right, it should be
On those
3
public,
minutes.
we don't ever want to cut anybody short, but if we, a filibuster is not exactly something we're trying to get to.
There you go. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments on the motion second that was brought up, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Any opposed? Sounds good, so, and if there's any other questions or comments, there'll be some of us up here, including myself. We'll be here for a few minutes longer, so. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.